Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senapataratna. Grab your favorite drink, get a snack, and we'll get started. Today I have mini Tootsie Rolls. Yum, yum. And I have some English breakfast tea with, of course, half and half and some sugar. So let's get real. The other day, my husband was out with a friend for lunch, and I had this novice idea of cleaning the house. And well, we were having people over, which always causes you to clean the house. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit above and beyond. And so I did the dishes and I pulled the laundry out and I'm sorting the laundry. And there's some stuff in the laundry that I was like, what is this? Because my husband does the laundry. And I set it on the bed and I was like, I don't know what this weird green thing is. And later that evening, he came home and I said, "Hey, Kev, what is that green thing that came out of the laundry?" And he was like, "Oh, that is part of our mop." And I kind of lost it. I was like, "Okay, here we go. Jenny doesn't do dishes. She doesn't do laundry, and she doesn't know the attachment to the mop." Oh, I am the best wife on the planet, right? It was just one of those moments that I just kind of chuckled to myself and then started beating myself up. It was just kind of ridiculous that I didn't even know what the mop attachment looked like. Yeah. And now, granted, our household, for years, ever since we got married, we've done division of duties. And so if you cook dinner, you don't do dishes. The other person does the dishes. If there are things I do, and then Kevin does other things. So I do the deep cleaning, Kevin does the surface cleaning. I organize and try to put everything where it goes and kind of, we have different roles. Now, does Kevin have probably harder roles? I would say yes. In my personal opinion, laundry is something I just really don't like. And so he's like, I don't mind. And it gets done when he does it. And if I'm doing it, it kind of just stays in the laundry for as long as till I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably do that. I clean the bathrooms. I mean, we all have roles. And so I actually was struggling with this because I was like, when you talk to other women and they're like, I get no help at home or, just different things, you start comparing yourself to other people. And I realized that I am probably, if you've known me for a really long time, you know that maintenance and housekeeping is not really something that brings joy to my life. Now, I know that it doesn't need to bring joy for it to be done, but Kevin doesn't mind it. He actually does, he's productive during those times, and so it's not that big of a deal to him. It is part of his weekly schedule. For me, I don't have a weekly schedule, so it's super overwhelming sometimes for me, and it's not for him. So it works for us. But when you start comparing yourself to a Martha Stewart, you can feel really, really bad about yourself. And I started thinking about the uniqueness that God creates each and every one of us to be. That we all have individual fingerprints and that we all have different DNA and we all look different. Yeah, there are people that look almost like you, but you are so unique. God uniquely created you. And that means that he didn't only uniquely create you on the outside, but also with your passions and your talents and things that God has made you. And so my husband often talks about don't do someone else's assignment. Some people are assigned to be preachers and teachers in a big church or in a small church. And when you start comparing yourself to one another, that is when the problems start happening because God has created you with individual gifts for where he's put you. and they change sometimes and they grow. In fact, I took one of those like spiritual development tests, where it tells you what your spiritual gifts are. And I've taken those almost all of my life, but I haven't taken one for probably 20 years. And I took one like a year and a half ago, and my giftings were completely different from what they were 20 years ago. When 20 years ago, it was like hostessing and hospitality. Probably that's more what it was, not hosting. But hospitality and, different things like that. And now it's much more admin and leadership and different pieces that have just changed. But God has uniquely gifted me to do something that maybe He hasn't uniquely gifted you to do. And you're doing things that I could never do. And I just want to live in the assignment that God gave me. And that's a hard place to be sometimes, because you look around and you I can look at a mom of 4 and go, boy, she's got it all together. I have one, and my poor daughter is like, Mom, come help me. Like, and I go, I'm not a good enough mom. But God has given me talents to be a mom that are unique and different, and it is exactly what Samantha needs. I would probably not be a great mom to your children because, let's just be real. We all know that. But God, it's so hard when you get stuck in that trap of like, wow, their life is so busy. Their life is so perfect. Their life, they travel, they do all these things. And I don't, because I'm a stay-at-home mom and my house is not as clean as I'd like it to be. And I'm running from sport to sport. And there's always something going on. And God is like, but this is the assignment I gave you. Can you find glory and excitement in that assignment? It is hard. It's really hard to find joy and contentment in the assignment sometimes that you've been given. But it's uniquely been given to you. The job that you have, the church that you have, the family that you have, the friendships that you have, the finances that you have uniquely been given to you as your assignment to give glory to God. So are you using all of those things, your time, money, talents, relationships? Are you enjoying them and using them for the glory of God? Are you making sure that your kids know that your love for Jesus is above everything else? That your excitement to follow after Him is truth? Now, are we always there? No. But I love when I'm kind of down and out and I'm feeling like I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, I am not equipped. I am not ready for this. And my daughter will come alongside me and tell me words that I have said about, but Jesus loves you and He's got a plan for your life, Mom. It's okay. And I'm like, you know what? I know that. But to hear my daughter say it, because it's seeped into who she is, because I say it all the time and I really believe it, about 90% of the time. Those bad days, not so much. But those are the moments that you realize that your assignment from God is uniquely created just for you. And she wouldn't know some of the things that she knows if it wasn't for what God has allowed me to seed into her life, plant into her life, that they will eventually grow and blossom into something amazing. And that's my assignment. My assignment is to follow after Him with everything that He has given me, everything that He has put in my path, to follow after Him. And I'm telling you, some days that's super easy. Some days I'm like, I can totally do a podcast. This is great. And another day I'm like, Lord, I have nothing to give today. And those are the days that the Lord's like, it's okay. Your assignment is not to go beyond what I've given you. Your assignment is to take what I've given you and do your best with it and follow after me. You don't have to be someone else. You don't need to live in someone else's energy or busyness. You can live in the busyness that God's given you. And if that means you have plenty of time for puzzles, even better. I often, these last 4 years, God has really given me a season of what I would call rest. Does it look like rest to everybody else? Probably not. It probably doesn't look like rest because we do a lot of traveling. We do a lot of ministry. I'm kind of, I do a lot of weird stuff that no one else really is assigned to, but God has given me seasons and moments in my day. In fact, I just got done making lunch. I made breadsticks today for lunch. And after all the breadsticks were out of the oven and I put on the Parmesan garlic crusts that I put on top of all of our breadsticks and everybody had their breadsticks served, I got to go and work on a puzzle for 15 to 20 minutes, a puzzle that I bought at a garage sale. Woot woot. But it was just a time of 15 to 20 minutes of a break in my day. And that is such a unique gift that God has given me right now. And so looking at your schedule and looking at your life and looking at the assignment that God has given you, but also being content in that area. So, okay, great. Be content in that area, but also be grateful for the moments that God has given you that are not normally times that we take time to thank the Lord for. To take that moment and be like, I'm in the car right now and it's quiet. My kids are at soccer practice right now, and there is a 15-minute break between the soccer games. That 15 minutes is what God has given you to rest. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot. I know that our lives are really busy and our lives just feel overwhelming. But God really does sneak in times for you. He can set time aside, and you need to set time aside for yourself too. Ooh, that's really hard because we don't like to do that, because I'm sure so-and-so is not taking time to do a puzzle. I'm sure so-and-so is not spending time doing that. They're much busier. But that's not my assignment right now. My assignment is to support Kevin in everything that he's doing and travel. And so as I'm traveling, that's exhausting for me. It's not something that is super filling. I know that sounds really weird, but it's an exhausting situation for me. And so when I have moments of rest, I have to sit in those moments of rest and enjoy them and be grateful for them. Because that's part of my assignment. God is just so gracious that I do not need to be Martha Stewart to be successful in what God's called me to do. I do not need to understand what the mop looks like in our house for us to be successful. It is so God calling you to be who you are and uniquely stand in who God's made you. And as you get older, I have found that it is easier to stand in my own skin and realize that I will never be a supermodel. That is never going to happen. And you know what? I'm kind of glad, because they don't get to eat Tootsie Rolls or brownies. So I cannot even imagine that would be a fun life. God did not assign me to do that. So I do not need to worry about what someone else's assignment is. I do not need to worry about someone else's success, because that does not take away from my success. And that's very hard in our culture, to understand that someone else's success does not take away from your success. Your success is uniquely yours and looks different from other people's success. So you can redefine what success looks to you in the assignment that God's given you this week. That's really my challenge to you, is to figure out what would be successful today. If you're following what the assignment that God's given you, what does success look like? Not what other people think it is, not what the world tells us success is, but what does God say success is today in your life? Well, that's all I have for you this week. You can find me on Real Life with Jenny on Instagram, Facebook, and on Be Real. You can also find me at christconnection.cc/Jen. All of my info is there. You can definitely reach out, and I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what success is for you, because it is so uniquely different for you than it is for me. And I want to celebrate with you. I want to say, yeah, it is. That's success. Way to go. Whether it means that you didn't eat the whole box of Oreos or that you did eat the whole box of Oreos, I will rejoice with you either way, because your success looks different from someone else's. And God and you are the ones that really say what success is in your life. So go after your assignment for God. Go after who God has made you, and be confident that God uniquely made you for where you are right now. You all have a great week.